Howdy heckin' hello, H2Os, Roller Bros, and Grimadines alike. I'm your guide Q, and welcome to this Ask Reddit thread. What is the scariest slash creepiest thing that's happened to you when you were home alone? And I honestly get scared like every time I'm home alone at night, at least. I have a basement door that does not physically close. It is broken, and so I'm always afraid that I'm gonna look down that basement staircase and see somebody at the bottom of the staircase. I haven't yet, but I still fear it every single time. So let's get into this thread, see what other stories people have about this sort of incident. One of the first nights I was home alone with my brother. I was probably 13 or so. Parents went to a concert and left me in charge of my little brother. Just after he goes to bed, there's a banging on the door. I'm terrified. I stay quiet and sneak to the window. It was a neighbor from up the road. We weren't friends, he's never been in my house before, and I'm just wondering why he wants to come in now. I stood on the other side of the door and said, "My parents aren't home, I can't open the door." Stupid, I know. Never let strangers know there are no adults around. He yells back, "It's getting dark and I just wanted to let you know that your garage door is wide open." I felt like a schmuck, but I'm still alive. What a wholesome ending to a pretty scary situation. I mean, imagine being a kid, being like, my parents are out, nothing's gonna happen, and then some stranger knocks on your door. Okay, this one's definitely more serious than the last story. I was home alone with my toddler, getting ready for bed after putting her down for the night when I heard her call for me. So I went to her room and she was fast asleep. Weird. Maybe she had woken up for a moment and then passed out again. Got to the end of the hall before I heard her call for me in a panic. Rushed back in and she was still asleep in the same position. I sat with her for a few minutes and then made my way to bed when I heard my husband call my name. Must have come home from work early, so I go to him, but he's not there. I call him and confirm he's still at work, and decide I must hear a neighbor or something. Crawl into bed and hear my husband call for me again, and then continue talking as if he's having a conversation with someone. Then I hear my child calling again and rush into her room, still asleep. This goes on for a while until I decide I must really need some sleep and go back to bed with the lights on. I'm too freaked out to sleep. I was just staring at a picture hanging on the wall when it disappeared. Like the wall just ate it. Look at another picture hanging on the wall and the same thing happens. They would just reappear when I looked away and then be eaten by the wall again when I looked directly at them. Decide I'm officially an insane person and call husband to come home. Fall asleep eventually and wake up and everything is normal except my heart rate can't decide on a pace, swinging up and down between 30s and 180s. Head into the hospital and I'm having a hypertensive crisis. Turns out it was the beta blockers I'd started recently. Nobody had heard of that reaction, so they kept me for a couple days until my numbers stabilized. No hallucinations after the first night other than hearing dogs bark randomly for a couple days. Not good times. This one really freaked me out because I expected it to be something paranormal, which I would have been very skeptical of, but the fact that it was just a bad reaction to some medication made it so real, and that's the freakiest stuff in my opinion. I was home after a dinner with my girlfriend. Around 3 a.m. I hear a very loud bang. My dog and I get out of bed to scope it out, hoping to find the reason for the noise. We searched for 15 to 20 minutes and could not find anything. We go back to bed and not 10 minutes later, bang. This time I am shaking. It sounded like it was coming from the same spot. I spent the rest of the night awake, not wanting to move. Found out the next day, my girlfriend put 2 sparkling waters in the freezer to cool them down, forgot about them, left the house, and never told me about them, and they exploded. That kept me up all night. I like this one because it's kind of like the first one where nothing was actually wrong, but the period of uncertainty is even longer. I hope his girlfriend, took him out to dinner or something like that to make up for the terror he went through. Okay, so the last 3 stories do not have any comedic ending. One night when I was about 12 or 13, my parents were gone for a while and I was just staying up really late past midnight on my desktop computer waiting for them to come home. Like most people, I had been told a million times not to talk to strangers on the internet, but about half of my friends list on MSN were people that I'd never met before, so I was just chatting with a bunch of them. Out of nowhere, one of my online friends had told me exactly what I'd been doing for the past hour or two. what I was eating, drinking, playing with, when I had gotten up last, things that I hadn't mentioned in the chat. I instantly got a horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach. My desktop was set up in front of a big window, so as far as I knew, the person I had been talking to, that was supposed to live in a different country than me, had found my address and had been watching me through the window. Turns out he had somehow hacked into my webcam. I always left it plugged in even though I had been warned not to when I wasn't using it, and had been frequently watching me through it whenever he wanted. It's been 10 years and I still have all the cameras on my devices covered in thick duct tape. You cannot trust anyone on the internet, and this is why I think that either you should have something covering up your webcam or have it pointing at the ground or something like that when you're not using it, or you should just be prepared for somebody to watch anything that is in front of that camera. I rented a cheap bi-level duplex in a bad neighborhood for 3.5 years so that I could save money to buy a house. First thing I did after unpacking from moving in was bolster security. I changed the deadbolt on the front door and installed a locking doorknob in place of the crusty, non-locking one that was there. All of the windows were old, crappy aluminum slider-style windows with horrible locks, and the back door was a patio door going straight onto a deck. So I bought a hardwood 1x4 and 2x4 and cut pieces to put in the window and door tracks so that any potential intruder would have to break a window rather than simply opening one to gain entry. I'm convinced that a past tenant was a drug dealer. In the first 6 months, I had 4 separate instances of tweakers knocking on the door looking for Sam. A couple of the tweakers forlornly stepped off when I told them that nobody named Sam lived there. 2 others got worked up, asked where Sam had gone and where he was living, to which I responded that I had rented the place and had no idea who Sam was. After being visited by tweakers, I redoubled my efforts to ensure that all of the doors were locked at all times. I still forgot to lock the front door once in a while, and I had a very creepy experience one night after forgetting to lock it. I was in the middle of cooking dinner one dark evening and went to the washroom. After washing my hands and exiting the washroom, I came back to my kitchen to see a middle-aged Asian man dressed in all black coming up the stairs from the front entrance into my kitchen. "Who the hell are you?" I asked, startling him. He said that he was there to fix a toilet. I was sure that I was going to die, but I figured I ought to talk to the guy for a few seconds before lunging for a kitchen knife and fighting for my life. The guy explained that the landlord, Gary, had sent him to fix a toilet. I told him that Gary wasn't my landlord and that my toilet was working fine. He asked what address he was at, I gave him my address, and he started profusely apologizing, saying that he had the wrong address. He backed down the stairs cautiously, put his boots on, and sheepishly left the duplex. I'm still not sure if he was looking for Sam to square up some unpaid drug debts and left when he realized Sam wasn't there, if he was looking for a woman to prey on, found me instead, and reconsidered his insidious plan, or if he really was just some poor sap who walked into a stranger's house while on a mission to fix a toilet for Gary, but I never mistakenly left the door at that place unlocked again. This is the exact reason that I freak out whenever I leave my door unlocked. Like, if I come downstairs in the middle of the night and I notice that my front door is unlocked, I'm like, somebody's already in the house. Nobody was downstairs to notice it happened, but they're just waiting for the right time to bounce on me. And honestly, I can't believe this dude stayed there for 3.5 years. I wonder when in the course of that 3.5 years this happened, because I wouldn't have been sticking around much longer. I was 15. My mom was out for the night and I was home studying. I had my headphones on so I could listen to music while I was working. I guess it was around 9-ish, my pencil rolled off the table, so I bent down to pick it up, and as I did, I looked toward the front door. The doorknob was turning slowly back and forth. Now, it's an old house and the doorknob is old, but I know the way that it unlocked from the outside with the key in, and the knob only turns one way. I moved to the kitchen and called 911, almost eerily calm, and told them my name, address, that I was home alone, and that someone was trying to come through my front door. Dispatch stayed on the line with me and said they were routing a helicopter to fly over. Did I have a dog? I did, and she told me to call the dog to the back door and then open the door and bring the dog in because they were going to use infrared in the backyard. I asked if that was safe. What if he was in the backyard? Her advice was to scream and that she would notify the police en route that an assault was in progress. Yikes. So I called my poor little Cocker Spaniel to the door and pretty much threw him over my shoulder and into the house before slamming and locking the door. Not much good it would do. That door had a single hung window in it. There was a large window next to it and a huge picture window in the living room. If someone wanted in, that deadbolt wasn't stopping much. Once I had the dog in, she told me she was going to hang up and call back in 5 minutes. In that 5 minutes, I was going to call the place my mom was at and get her to come home. I called, she was playing darts, so I told him to give the phone to her boyfriend and told him what's going on. Apparently, he walked up to where my mom was playing, grabbed her, and walked her out of the bar. When the dispatcher called back, she gave me the names, descriptions, and badge numbers of the responding officers, and that she had informed them that they were to hold their badges to the front window before the door would be unlocked for them. They showed up, showed me badges, and I opened the door. My mom was less than 5 minutes behind them, which, considering SoCal traffic, means her BF broke a number of traffic laws to get there. That's when the police showed us the cigarette butts and footprints by the front window and the kitchen window, and the mud scraped off the top of the gate that separated our front and backyards. Apparently, he had been watching me through the windows for quite a while before deciding to break in. Okay, so this is definitely a really creepy thing to go through, but something just feels off to me about this story. I mean, it had a ton of upvotes, so clearly people were liking it, but something just feels kind of fake about it. But I don't know, maybe the dispatcher was just really bad. In my personal opinion, I'm not a 911 dispatcher, so I don't know how you're supposed to do that job. If anybody has experience, let me know if this stuff sounds weird. But one, the fact that she asked if she had a dog, that doesn't seem like the most pressing issue when your house is being broken into. And then the fact that she advised her to open up the back door and let the dog in. I would advise keeping all the doors locked, or if you're going to the back door, maybe running out of the house and just getting away from the house that's being broken into. Especially since the dispatcher acknowledged that if the guy was to come in the back door when she was opening it, to just scream and they'll call it an assault in progress, and maybe that'll make the police cars move faster or something like that. Then the dispatcher hanging up. I've never heard of a dispatcher hanging up personally for the mom to be called, unless maybe the mom could get there faster, but then why wouldn't the 911 operator just ask for the mother's number or the number of the bar, and then you'd be able to get in contact from the mother without having to get off the line with the person that's currently having their house being broken into. But I don't know, that's just coming from me, a person who has zero experience being a cop or a 911 operator. If anybody out there is like a dispatcher or a cop, please let me know if this situation sounds like it was handled normally by the dispatcher. If you see a comment from a dispatcher or a cop, please upvote it so that we can get some opinions and then I can definitely see that comment. This is going to be kind of messed up, but I am curious. Let me know how you would deal with someone breaking into your house. Like, let's say that it's the middle of the night, you're in your bedroom at your computer or playing on your phone or something like that, and you hear your front door get broken into. It's pretty creepy, but I just want to hear what people's plans are, so maybe I can refine my own personal plan for that sort of thing. Skate on to the best of your abilities, guys. Please be safe out there. Make sure you're drinking more water and staying hydrated, and I will see you very soon. Have an absolutely wonderful, safe day.